how long did it take to put this album together?
2 weeks and 3 days.
No.
Wait, what?
Huh?
No, because I'm talking about with Dr. Dre.
2 weeks and 3 days.
So when y'all locked in,
when we locked in and we said, this is what we're going to do.
Big Boy's
Big
Neighborhood.
Boy.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. I've been waiting on this, man. How are you doing this morning?
I'm amazing. How are you? That was such a wonderful welcome.
Oh, you stop there.
Like you caught me off guard. I was like, hey, good morning. Good
Marsha
morning.
Ambrosius.
Yes.
It's
Marsha.
crazy, man, because even this morning, and I know you get a lot of people that just want to say Ambrosia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's Ambrose, Ambrosia, Ambrosius,
Oh, so you hear it all.
Ambrosius.
Ambrosius. Ambrosius.
Yes, but I love it either way. It
Hey,
makes
man,
me feel
I
like
even went on like the pronunciation thing, and it was like Ambrosius, and I was like, no, that's not it. Yeah.
I recently called my parents and I asked them, how do we pronounce our name? Because I've heard it that many times wrong. I
Ambrosius
forgot. I just started
is your-
saying it how everybody says it.
That's your real last name?
Ambrosius. Yeah,
I
who
would-
would make that up on purpose?
You know what?
Who would intentionally
Sounds like
make
an artist
something
name.
That
unpronounceable? It does,
sounds
right?
like a name that was
does.
destined for stardom.
Right. I think my parents had it in their heads that maybe one day this is going to do something.
Now, with music, and one day it's going to do something, which, hell, it's been doing things.
Oh, man.
Is your family into music?
Yeah, my
Okay.
dad was in a 70s funk band back in the day
Dope.
called Supercharge, and they
Uh-oh.
were signed to Virgin Records. He played,
Damn.
right, exactly. Give it
Yeah.
the bow, wow.
Supercharged.
So you can
Ow.
only imagine what that sounded like.
Yeah.
So I had like the instruments in the house. My mother had a bunch of vinyl. She was like the DJ, and her, my aunts, they all sang, and it was, a musical household. So I
Did
kind of
they
had the.
Encourage you to get into music? Because sometimes
They,
we'd...
Mr. Miyagi'd me into
Oh,
it.
really? So you didn't
so
even
it wasn't
know.
a pressure. It was just, don't touch that. Touch it, though.
Right.
There's the piano. There's the guitar. So kind of left it accessible to me. So I just gravitated towards it anyway.
But that's been like your whole life. You know, there's
Yeah.
some people that... Do you remember a time when you didn't have music?
No,
Oh,
I
wow.
really don't. I was harmonizing to Weather Report and like things like that early on, like
It's-
2 years old, 3 years old.
It's crazy how, like, I remember years ago looking at this picture of Alicia Keys, and I seen one of John Legend. As like little kids just sitting on the piano. And there's some people that just have that.
Yeah, I think it's because of, thankfully, I'm in a group of people that had that early on, the encouragement, I think. And not that it was pressured either. Because I
Right.
didn't really love it, like as far as creating it until I was in my teens, like New
Right.
Jack Swing era, Jodeci. Jodeci made me want to create music.
Really? And
That
that's what
my,
I was going to ask. Like, there's a time when you kind of love it,
yeah,
and then there's a time when you say, I think I can do this.
right.
And that was
my-
around...
Yeah, 16, 17. I was like, I could do this.
And how did that start? Were you writing poetry or anything first, or?
I tore ligaments. I was
Oh.
basketball first. My dad was a coach, and I played for
Damn, your dad
England.
did it all, huh?
Yeah, he really did. You know, that superhero himself.
Hell yeah,
It was
man.
like,
Super dad.
super dad was basketball coach plus player, and I played basketball for Brixton Top Cats. I played for England. I played for Brixton Top Cats, and then I tore ligaments that season when I was around 16 or 17, and I wrote poetry. And it turned into this song called If I Was a Bird that ended up on the Floetry album back in the day. And it's really about me tearing ligaments. And I watched Michael Jordan's Come Fly With Me every day. And that was my version of not being able to play basketball anymore.
In
And it turned
basketball
into a song.
and in sports, were you one of the people that they felt like, oh, she gonna go?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So when you get torn away from that, it's not like, oh, I hurt myself, but I'm going to get into this music. That had to be
Oh, no,
something
it was-
traumatic.
This is still very much a happy accident.
Oh,
Music
wow.
just happened because basketball didn't. I'll always feel that way.
How sad or upset did you feel when you couldn't play basketball?
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's my first heartbreak. Like they'll say, oh, your first boyfriend. They're like, no, it was basketball that broke my heart. It was terrible. I was
Damn.
mortified.
So at that time, is music a getaway, a pastime,
It's therapy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think my dad was more heartbroken that I stepped away from the game than anybody. It was
Wow.
like, what do you mean you're quitting the gas? I didn't see myself without it. So once I got injured, I was like, what do I do when I'm injured? But
You didn't injure yourself on purpose, did you?
of course
Okay,
not.
just I don't
You
know,
know, like,
because
take my knee out, please.
Yeah.
No, it was so silly. We did a scrimmage and it was that last game. We'd won every game, and I'm a Leo. We just had to go one more. And that's when it happened. I just heard the crunch and it was like over. So I was like, oh, I'm going to find something else to do. I'm going to write all my poetry and write all of these songs. And it just kind of worked out.
How do you go from poetry and writing songs to actually saying, this is what I'm going to do? You know, because everybody wants to be in the business, Marsha. You know, did you
Good
want to
luck
be in
with
the
that.
business?
No.
Okay.
The business is never something I'd been like, oh, let me do that. It was, I wanted to create. I wanted to be around creative people. It just so happened that all of those things kind of worked out as I got along. So it was performing, it was interacting with other like-minded creatives that were willing to put themselves out there.
And this is all in England at the time?
In England at the time, get a free flight to Atlanta by ways of friends that were already there, free flight to Philadelphia by friends that had heard the demo tape and stuff
Right.
like that. And it just kind of snowballed down from there. And I've just been on this roller coaster ride for 24 years now.
Good Lord have mercy. And you know what's crazy about when you say the roller coaster ride for 24 years? It's crazy that even Say Yes is like over 2 decades
It's
old.
24 years
24?
old. Yes, I recorded it in Philadelphia 24 years ago. This would be this summer. Yeah. Year
Wow.
2000, I got to Philly.
Hey man, it's crazy when you get that kind of hit and one of those that kind of never go away. Thank
I
God.
couldn't get rid of that if I tried
Right.
staying.
Right,
It's
that's one of those where you could probably get beat up if you try not to perform it.
Right, like where you going? Don't care. How
Like,
distraught
even when the
you
lights are up and they
yeah,
fold in the chairs, they're like, "No, she coming
No,
back. She's coming back."
Right. I'm glad that I got to do that during that time. Philadelphia really embraced me in such a way that I'm an honorary Philadelphian because of it.
Do you take the plane back and forth from like England, then you come to America?
I used to. So it used to be
Early on,
I
I'm
didn't
speaking
have,
of.
Early on, it was I didn't have a visa, so I had to.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't have
hop
a
back,
deal or
yeah.
anything. So it's like every 3 months. Oh, I'm gonna go back for a couple of weeks, come back, and then got the deal situated, got my visa, and then it was once a year to renew it, and then it was once every 4 years to renew it because once the work was done, I haven't not been on tour for at
Right.
least. Maybe I've only not toured maybe 2 years out of the 24 I've been here.
And are we
Which is
saying 2
crazy.
years collectively? Because it
Maybe.
seems like you're always
Gone.
like, yeah, or you never ever stopped.
Yeah,
Eh.
that's so sad to say out loud when I think
Right.
about it. I have a 7-year-old, and even when I was pregnant with my daughter, I worked up until my 8th month.
Wow.
And then she was born December 2016. I was back on tour by March of 2017.
Already
So it's like really not stopping.
feeling like knowing your solo material and Floetry material. It seemed like you already peeled off so many layers just in music.
Right.
You know, and then when you become a mother, does that open up even more, like whatever it may be, vulnerabilities, learning experiences, whatever it is it different writing as a mother as well?
Definitely. It was an evolution
Mhm.
of me and where I was at the time. So even with the Nyla album, that's what that was. It was, wow, I'm a mom. I'm
Yeah.
a wife now, and it's different. So love looked different. Life looked different because of it. So I
Was
got
it scary naming the album Nyla, or did that feel like low-hanging fruit?
No, that
Letting
was
the world know?
the world had to know where I was at. And it wasn't necessarily her name. It was the
Gotcha.
places it came from, because her name derives from her father being raised in New York, Buffalo, New York, and we were out in LA, so NY, LA.
Dude,
So
I
it
was
the two
hoping it wasn't
coasts.
that serious. I mean, that easy. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
you know, it really was that simple.
It's good it was in San Francisco. I mean, that's
Right, I know. Can you imagine the name? So I'm trying to figure this out. No.
Come
Right,
on
San
over here.
Francisco, yeah. No, so Nyla.
So we
But
go
NYLA.
to
yeah.
the new body of work.
Mhm.
And the new body of work, I mean, that's like a perfect album. And you know how sometimes
Wow.
you'll hear certain things and you'll say, man, they didn't need 18, 24, you know, because now there's so many tracks
Mm,
that's on a body of work now. And if I'm
right.
not mistaken, it's what, like on Casablanco, it's what, 11?
11 titles in total.
But if you're working with Dre and you got, did y'all hold on to for one, how long did it take to put this album together?
2 weeks and 3 days.
No.
Wait, what?
No, because I'm talking about with Dr. Dre.
2 weeks and 3
So
days.
when y'all locked in,
When we locked in and we said, this is what we're going to do, it was so simple. The first song we did was Tunisian Nights, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
number 2. So once we started with that and that beat drop, we reacted the way we expected everyone to react. It's like when you're at a really good party and the DJ just drops that one
Yeah.
bum in the middle of it and everyone's like, oh, the whole album felt like that. So once we were in it, we were in it. And once we got to song 10, Dre was like, look, we need one more and that's it. I feel like this
So
is
out
it.
of the 11 we hear, you know, how some people say, oh, I recorded like 40 songs.
Oh, no, no. It was like 12 or 13 we recorded. One sample we couldn't get cleared. So we
Damn.
just.
What sample couldn't you? Because I listen to albums different, and I'm a credit reader, and I'm also like I know this. So I'm listening to samples.
Right.
There's a lot of samples and a lot of
Man, Casablanco may take the Guinness Book of Records,
Yes.
like of samples outside of a
Yes.
Public Enemy album
Right.
that there ever was.
Because I was wondering, I was like, damn, what didn't get cleared, and who was that?
It was what do I recall? It was something to do with an estate. And because somebody had
okay.
passed, so we just couldn't because of the timing of it all. So we just said, you know what, we can let go of that record.
So y'all lock in, you and Dre lock in for 2 weeks and some change.
And everything was recorded, the vocals, the music. The only thing that we did that extended that was the live strings. So we did a 27-piece orchestra
Lord.
over the entire thing. Round about the end of the year, like September, because Dre,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Dre. So we did that, and then it took a year and some change to clear it. Because when we were
Right.
creating it, I was like, "There's no way I'm getting away with this. There's no way we can get away with Wu-Tang, Duke Ellington,
Right.
and Michael Jackson. There's no way."
Right, but y'all pulled it off, and the thing about it is, there's times when you hear like, first off, mine just listening on first is Smoke, and what that felt
Ooh,
like.
man.
You know what I'm saying? And then there's times when you hear like a little flip up, and you hear the beat change,
Right.
and you're like, man, you could tell that sonically that you and the team were really in your bag. You know, is it
yeah.
different working with Dre on an album as opposed to collaborations or working with Dre in the past?
Thankfully, with this experience, we just met at the right time.
Mhm.
You know, it was the pandemic. It was 2021, coming fresh off of health scares. So
Right.
it was like, look, we just want to keep creative and just make something that we love. So once we were in it, it just felt comfortable. Even when I've collaborated with him, it's always been, okay, Marsh, what do you hear in this particular thing? So I'll give a hook or, some backgrounds or some melody ideas, some lines. With this, it was, let's do something that we both love. So I don't know, it felt easy. Like
And
this is the
nothing-
easiest thing I've created, and it sounds crazy because it's a Dre thing, but
Right.
for me, creative freedom.
And that's what I was going to ask as well. Like, how do you kind of get out of your own way too? Because there's already been success connected to your name. You know what I'm saying? And are you hard on yourself?
Absolutely.
Wow.
But with this, it's Dre.
Right.
And he's
I would
giving me
think-
that respect, you know?
Okay.
So it felt like a like-minded meeting of the creative minds. And it was like, okay, if you give me George Benson, I'm gonna give you Duke Ellington. Okay,
Right.
if you give me Wu-Tang, I'm gonna give you Nas. Okay, if you give me Mary J. Blige, I'll give you Mary Jane Girl. So we're exchanging all of these musical ideas respectfully.
Right.
And there was no bad idea.
And no
we'd always make-
intimidation.
None.
Right. And Dre, he's in a position where Dre works with who he want to work with,
Yeah.
and very specific.
Right.
And I think that you guys put together an amazing album. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because out of your presence, you hear people say, man, the best album. Oh, she killed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, out of your presence. It's easy to say something when somebody's in your face.
Right.
But I've been hearing nothing but with conversation how great this album is. And the crazy thing about it too, Marsha, is no one is doing, and I don't want to disrespect anyone like paying attention like this, but no one is doing music like this. You could tell that it's a care project as well.
We cared. I do believe there are those that are leaning towards making music feel good again.
Yep.
There really is. And I feel like I just have a heightened version and experience of that, having a Dr. Dre behind something like this. And he's so meticulous and so precise. So when you do press play on it, you can hear the work in it. Yes, it took
Right.
us 2.5 weeks to do it, but we're talking about 20 years of buildup, a 20-year relationship where he knows what I bring to the table. I know what he brings to the table. And there was no ego, no nothing. It was, let's make this the best album we can ever do. If there was no time left, like for Dre at one point in
Right.
his life, there was no time left. For me, no time left. What did we do with that last album? If this was
Mm.
going to be it, press play.
When
What
did
does
you
it
know it
sound
was
like?
done?
Oh, by track 11, he has
Mm.
like a chalkboard, a whiteboard in his room, and we write down the titles. And as soon as I saw track 10, and we started creating the next one, I was like, we were looking at it. I was like, look at that track list. Let's start, playlisting it now. What goes first? And it was like Tunisia Nights. That has to go first. And I'm like, nah, it might be Smoke. Smoke kind of
Mhm.
opens the door for it. And then we playlisted it and listened to it over and over again. And it was, this is it. This is the album.
Hey man, with One
This is
Night
it.
Stand, right?
Mm.
When you listen to that, for one,
Every time I think about, oh,
yeah,
wait.
for one, you don't hear a lot of women that'll say, "Oh, one night stand." You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't come out of someone's mouth. But when I'm listening to it and I hear you say like, "Go for a couple hours," I was like, "Who the hell was this?"
Man,
I
exactly.
I was like, "Who the fuck
Roll
did she
over,
run into?"
like, who is this?
Yeah, I was like, "Who the hell did she find that?" Like, you
Well.
would have put me in an Uber 2-3 minutes after. You know?
And that's perfectly fine.
Thank you. I appreciate
You
that,
know,
man. Thank you.
those nights are perfectly fine.
You said those nights,
know,
those all the times.
those-
Yeah, yeah, those all the times.
Those all the times can be okay too. But no, one night stand, it's okay because maybe it's forever.
Right.
But it takes the one night to know that.
Where
So
does-
everything is a one night
Very
stand.
true.
No, am I tripping?
Very true.
Yeah.
My one night
Every-
stand
yeah.
is 10 years long.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
Because you'll have a one night stand and then you can continue to stand together.
Exactly.
It's just if you don't talk after or see each other, then boom.
Exactly.
That's
so
the
even with the
exclamation on
song,
the
it's
period.
like, ooh, I like one night stand. I'm early in the morning waking up with this person. So it is the next morning. So it's not the one night anymore. It's really the morning after. The song should really be called The Morning After.
Right.
Because it's about the one night stand. But it's, wow, who did that to me? And why do I want to do it again?
Damn.
You know?
Yeah, I was listening to that. I was like, and then my wife came home. I was like, man, let me put my clothes back on. You know what I'm saying? I was like this looking crazy. 'Cause I
My
don't know.
music can do that to you.
Yeah, but music is that. You know what I'm saying? Like music is the greatest takeaway,
It really
especially when you find something, man. Like music has always been my getaway. You know, and I listen to everything, all different kind of genres. Like I'm just a child of music because when you didn't have certain things, I always had either a headphone or a speaker,
Right.
you know, and I always gravitated towards music. So when I hear music, like I said, I'm a credit reader. I go down rabbit holes when it comes to music. And I think that's the reason why I appreciate, you can hear the effort in it. Even though to somebody else it just sounds like, and to me as well.
Right.
Like they don't know the samples. They didn't know that you guys brought an orchestra in.
Right.
You know, you just hear kind of, this is great music, but we don't know. We get to create it, but we don't know the entire creation.
Right.
And that was extremely important to you guys.
Absolutely. 'Cause, people do hear the end result, but don't understand, even though I'm saying a 2.5 week effort, that's the sleepless nights
Right.
trying to figure out how we implement George Benson into this beat that happens out of nowhere, into these chord changes. So it is precise, but for us, it was just love and finding love back in music.
You
again.
enjoy the challenge?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where Dre and I connect best, is that he knows I'm unafraid. He can throw anything at me and I'm going to make it work. Like, oh, what? Okay, bet.
Is-
And that's where the respect level just went up and up and up.
was it a lot of do that overs?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Don't let Exhibit hear this because they had Exhibit do
Well, I
something
think
like
it's
400
different
times
for, like,
over.
for rap and maybe how he respects me in the booth. He will just let me go. Like, okay, she's gonna go do her magic now, and he will just disappear and come back. Like, see, ta-da, I told you, she got it. And he will really just let me go, like, and do what I do.
How's your ears? Because I've been in the studio with Dre, And there's times when he listened to music so loud, I wanted to put a lawsuit against him.
Oh, I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do have to step away or kindly remove yourself from the front of the room, sit in the back towards the middle and center yourself because that beat literally goes through your
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah.
But he needs to hear it that way.
Yeah.
And
And it
once you
works.
press, it does. Like there's a method to his madness, but pressing play on this album, I was like, wow, you can really separate the hi-hat from the snare here.
Yeah.
Like you can really hear the breath of the violin. Like there's
Mhm.
differences within the music and how he separates the ear. Like it separates him from everybody.
How do you know when a song is yours, and how do you know when you can write or give a song away to someone else?
You really, really don't.
Oh wow.
Sometimes I'll go in and it's just a feeling. Like even with the prime example of that is Butterflies.
Yeah.
Butterflies was never for Michael Jackson. It was just a song and he loved it. But if I'm writing specifically for someone, like going in with an Alicia Keys and she's like, okay, I want to do this thing in particular and we'll do Go Ahead. That's her song because
Right.
we did it specifically. Sometimes I've written a song and I'm like, oh, I love this. I would keep this. And then someone will hear it and it'll make sense for them. I don't know. I've started to be a bit more carefree with music now. I used to be very, very like, oh, I'm gonna hold it close to my chest. No one will hear this. Like I have 1,000,005 demos that
Mhm.
no one will ever hear because they're my songs and they're
Mhm.
for me. But you just never know
With Michael
sometimes.
Jackson Butterflies, did you have a reference track to that? Because that sounds like you.
Yeah, the demo that's actually on the Floetic album is what he heard. That was
Gotcha.
my
Gotcha.
demo for that song that Andre Harris and myself created. So
How did
it's
Michael Jackson find that?
John McClane. John McClane,
Said this.
yeah,
You got to hear this.
he played it for Mike, and that's who we ended up signing through DreamWorks at that time in 2000. And yeah, it was like
Were you in studio with Michael Jackson when he recorded it?
yeah. Oh, I
Wow.
vocally produced that whole
How
thing.
okay, so how crazy is that? Knowing like, and you probably grew up listening to, we all grew up listening to Michael Jackson.
Listen,
So vocally producing Michael Jackson.
cried every day, cried like real tears. Like I couldn't hold on to that emotion. Like, and he was being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the same time. So when any TV station I would turn on, there's Michael and every version of him: ABC Mike, Billie Jean
Hmm.
Mike, Human
Yeah.
Nature Mike, Remember the Time Mike, and I'm like, I'm with Now Mike up the street at Hit Factory in New York, with his kids. Like, it's different.
Could you tell him do that over? Or think
Oh
we could do
yeah,
that better?
I
When
would.
you say vocally produced,
I told him everything, and he listened.
how was that working with him?
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mike was there 2 hours before I even got to the
Yeah.
session, warming up his vocal. Like he was a genius, like next level. And just the humility for that man to be who he was
Yeah,
and still
man.
is just top tier.
You know
Like
what I enjoy about him too is that he paid attention.
to
Like
everything.
man, I would talk and he would just like he would look and really like and he'll ask questions.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And really be engaged. And I'm sitting here thinking like, dude, this is
Why are you
fucking Michael
listening to
Jackson.
me? Right,
Yeah,
right.
you know
You
what I'm
don't have to
saying?
listen to me.
And I remember, dude, he had asked me one point because I was over 500 pounds, right?
Right.
And he asked me, he said, why did you lose the weight?
Mm.
And when I was telling him, like, man, I was this age and I felt like I had more years behind me, and he
Mm.
was really engaging. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And I can tell when I finished, it was exactly what he not wanted to hear, but like he understood
right,
why I took my health and why I owned up to it.
right.
As opposed to just like, why you lose
Right, and
start-
brush it off. But
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But yeah,
But even when it came to vocally producing him and him, he'd never questioned why I would require him to do something over. It was, let's listen to the demo. He wanted to match my demo. So he was like, well,
gotcha.
how did you do that? Where did we start with the vocals? Like,
Gotcha.
what was the harmony first? How did you do that breathing into it? Was so, he dissect everything. So I'd have to break everything down. 22, 23-year-old Marsh at that time is like, am I even worth this? But,
Do
clearly
you
so.
lead into that or is that day one?
That's day one.
Oh wow.
That's
Oh
day
okay.
one. Day one. We were there for a week and a half, and then we mixed the song here at Record Plant in LA. And that was like, it feels like yesterday. Now
Mm-hmm.
talking about it, it's like I've done a lot of things in like it's been 24 years.
Wow.
That's 24 years ago.
What's the difference,
That's
if there's
crazy.
any, between being a solo artist and being a part of Floetry?
Just the creative freedom of it all. Even when I was in it, it was still that collaborative effort and a balance and compromise. And that's what all groups do. Any
Gotcha.
group situation does that. So when you're on your own, it's okay, I can stand on my own opinion, my own thought, my own emotion, and own that and stand 10 toes down on that. When you're in a group, you have to compensate for someone else's feelings and
Gotcha.
emotions and perspective. But that's what worked about Floetry when it was happening, is that there was creative compromise that worked for two different opinions at the same time.
How did that come together?
Basketball.
Really?
Yeah, we met playing basketball in South London first, and then we went to the same performing arts school together. As soon as I graduated, I was producing and writing, and called Nat up and said, "Hey, put some poetry to my music," and voila. I had a creative
And do
idea one
y'all
day.
come over together?
Yeah,
Oh,
like we were
okay.
doing poetry back home, and I mean Floetry back home. We were called Floetry by a fan, by the way. Like someone was like, "Oh, what you do is like poetry and music together." It's like Floetry. We were like,
Y'all like,
"Oh,
oh,
that's
take
great."
that. Yeah.
We used to be called Nat and Marsh and just get on the
Oh,
stage.
really? Give it up,
Absolutely,
y'all, for
just two
Nat and
homies.
Marsh.
Yeah, Nat and
Yeah.
Marsh just comes to the stage. Great. And then yeah, so that kind of happened, and then it just opened the doorway for me meeting everyone at Philadelphia that time. So it's a touch of jazz. It's Jazzy Jeff, Dre and
Oh, my
Vidal,
Lord.
Carv Ivan, Dee and Keith, right when they were making Jill Scott's first album, right when Music Soul Child's Just
Oh, so
Friends is
you
like the
there
single. Yeah,
watching this
I'm
new
summer of
Philadelphia
2000.
sound.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
summer of 2000 was just magic. So by the time I'm in it and then Floetry get their chance, it's still all the songwriting I got to do behind that team also that just catapulted all of these different things along the years. So for 24 years, I've been working with the same people like
When you
this whole
say
time.
24 years, you get like this. It's either a look of it's or a breath. Like there's something when you say 24 years, and you said it a few times. Is it that you can't believe it, but 24 years has passed?
Yeah.
24 years is long, 24 years is short,
No one gets 24 years in this.
especially now.
Not
Yeah.
in this, like
Yeah.
really in this. And I look at the time and it is 24 years. Because, like you said, Butterflies or Say Yes, they happened the same year for me. And that is 24 years ago. So I have to look at that in reality and go, wow, I'm sitting in Big Boy, right? Like now?
You,
How
you
did I
know,
get here now?
do you know what's crazy about
know?
that? E40 said it the best, man, when he said he's a veteran and relevant at the same time.
Mm,
And you're a veteran, but you're so relevant. And you got to think, even with the new album, there's people that could possibly just start enjoying your body of music today.
like now,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Like this is my 30th year in radio, right? And I'll get people that'll say, "Oh, I've been listening to you," and it's always different times. There's some people
Right.
that listen for the whole 30.
Right.
Then there's some that, 10, 5. There's even some people now that literally come up and say, "I listen to your podcast." And when they say that, I know you
It's
just
new,
discovered
right?
me.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Do you get that a lot as well?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because some people don't even. When you spoke about your health journey, I had one also. Like I also was 300 pounds
Yeah.
plus and came down, then had a baby, fluctuates, all the things. So people don't even associate me with Floetry. It's either they've known me since far away or Hope She Cheats and you were the basketball
Gotcha.
player. So they know a different version of Marsha
Hey,
Ambrosius.
damn, how to cheat.
And I know.
Right, yeah.
It was petty, but now you know I was a ball player at heart. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in my petty bag.
But we got to go through that too, and that's a sign of the times.
Exactly.
You know, that's growth.
I feel like I've been honest with my pen
Yeah,
this whole time, and I tell you exactly where I'm at. So yeah, a lot of people are discovering different versions of me and then going, wow, that's the same. Okay, you're the same person that did Say Yes and Butterflies and Late Nights and Early Mornings. And I can't remember who I haven't featured with in hip hop.
Yeah.
It's like at least 98% of it.
How was that with Nipsey? How does that come together?
Man,
And we can go Nipsey Game. I mean, we can go
there's
on and
too
on.
many.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to remember how it was Game. It might have been, I mean, not Game with Nipsey. It was either 1500 or
Oh,
Nothing.
wow.
My guys and Karen Civil. It hit me because at the time she was working with him.
Yeah.
And she said, "Marsh, I need you to get to the studio so you can do this hook for Nip." And it was real big. So yeah, 1500 and Nothing produced it. I said, "Look, absolutely." And I'd only known Nip through mixtape stuff.
Right.
And I was a fan already. And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." And then someone sent me a clip of him singing Superstar, one of my songs. Like, he was just randomly singing it in the studio. I was like, "Oh, that's so dope." So we go in and I hear what he did on the song. And I'm like, "This is a hook already. What do you want me to do?" I was like, "No, real big, real big." I said, "That is the hook. I don't need to do another hook." I said, "I will sprinkle around what it is that you've done and elevate the song to make it feel like a finale. It felt like a stamp of approval, like an I've made it moment." So it's very, very befitting that it's the last song on Victory Lap. 'Cause it's like, that's what it feels like.
Do you feel like there's a part of you that, and I say that their slashes are enough. So you got to be artist enough, writer enough, producer enough, mom enough.
Man,
You know,
all the things.
Yeah, all the things enough. How do you handle all those enoughs?
Oh, it's a juggle.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But you get it done. Any working mother out there knows that, or any working parent, period. It's just, you find a way, even when there's no way, even when you feel like you failed at the, dang, I didn't get breakfast on the table at the right time, and that will be my failure of the day. Or I
Wow.
didn't pick up a call, or I didn't return one. It's, I can make everything work. Let me just make it work for me. And you just keep going.
Does Nyla know you're famous?
Our running joke is that I'm going out to work to see Marsha Ambrosius. And she just runs with that. So you're going to see Marsha Ambrosius today?
Right. Yeah.
Is she going to sing your song today?
Does your daughter, does she have it?
She
Can you see it?
does.
Wow.
She does. Whatever it is, she has it.
Like your
It's-
mom and dad, they knew you had it.
I think
at some
every
point.
parent
Right,
knows, but
yeah.
it's like it's the eyes of the beholder. Like, the magic I see in my child is the magic that anyone's gonna see in theirs. And whatever she has, I'm just gonna watch it and let it flourish on its own time and not pressure her like into anything. She's just a
Is she singing
kid.
already?
She's singing, she's writing, she's dancing, she's playing
Jesus
ball,
Christ.
she's playing soccer.
Is she
She's
signed, or you want me to do a
7.
management deal with her? Right.
I don't know. Like, she's 7
Right.
and loving her life right now. Like, she's a kid.
Is she on TikTok?
No.
So you don't have her
No.
on social media or anything like that?
No.
How do you, are you on social media? Because
Kind of, and I used to be
Have to.
very prominent until it got crazy. It's like
Yeah.
the wild, wild west outside.
yeah,
Like,
man, it's a lot.
And
But even now in album mode and artist mode, do you feel
Mhm.
like you have to go to it a little bit more now because you have to?
a little bit,
Mhm.
and do and should possibly a little bit more, but no pressure. And I haven't always had that anyway. Like, I was never the
Gotcha.
artist that got on because I had social media. It was whispers. It was like, "Yo, you
Yeah.
heard this," da-da-da, and I would just let that filter out. So now I'm glad I have, direct interaction with fans.
Do
and
you
that's
feel
key.
like it's been a great, not just grind, but just the way that your career, not life, but just the way that your career has traveled? You know what I'm saying? Because I remember it was Luther Vandross. He said, "I would rather sell 15 albums, one album, a million copies for 15 albums than one album that sells 15 million
Right.
just over time." Do you feel like your over time has been great?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really because of the work that was done and the seeds that were planted for the past 24 years. And if my first seeds were, say yes, butterflies, it's like I've done these things that have allotted me 24 years in the game
Right.
because of what I did back then. Like you said, if I get on stage and I don't do that song,
Yeah, we
like,
throwing something at
someone's
you.
going to be,
Yeah,
it's tomatoes.
Definitely gonna be a problem.
I'll take it.
Definitely gonna be a problem.
But not a lot of people get that fortunate position and that uphill climb. I feel like
Right.
I'm still climbing, and even getting to Casablanco, I've done all of these things throughout my career that have allowed me to get to this part now and still feel like it's new and fresh. And I'm in Big Boy and I'm with you guys in the morning. And it's like, this all feels very new to me all over again and exciting, you know. And I feel like that's the part of the journey that any artist would still want. Like, it hasn't worn me out, you know, as this industry really can take a toll on anybody and shut you down immediately over the smallest little things. Like, not everything's going to go your way. Not everyone's going to like you. You're not always going to say or do the right things in the eyes of anyone. And all you can do is own what you're doing throughout it all. And I believe that I've loved, even when I've hated it, every part of my journey, because I wouldn't be here, you know, so I can just continue.
Why the title Casablanco?
Because it felt vintage Hollywood. As soon as those strings and the piano came into it, I could see the movie and how it felt. And it was really the journey from Dre had me staying in a very fancy place, and the drive from where I was staying to his house where we recorded most of the album. It was like, this feels like Casablanca.
Passed
so when
through
I
some
told
things.
him, so I told him, and he was like, I like it, but I feel like it needs to be a little bit more gangster than that. So let's call it Casablanco, like Griselda Blanco. I said, ooh, that makes sense. And then once we were in it, and it was the vintage Hollywood, and then those beats would just drop. Now it is door knocker ears and pearls and diamonds and ball gowns, and we have a dress code for Casablanco, which is tux and chucks. So when we do the live experience, you know, I'm gonna need a tuxedo and some, you know, some Chuck Taylors, or, you know, some J's, and, you know, ladies in ball gowns and your comfortable sneakers and some door knocker earrings.
Hello,
so
I
it's
see you.
hip hop, and, you know, it's like, Dre hates this, but my favorite video of his was Been There, Done That.
Yeah.
I was like, you took hip hop to
and we
ballroom.
waltzed. You know what I'm saying? We did the
waltzed
ballroom.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
man.
I said, I want roses. I want to, you know, tango my way into.
Yeah, we tangoed.
You know what I mean? So I was like, that's what I want. I want the decks. I want DJs. I want it to feel very much like Beat Street, Breaking, and Right Now.
Do you still play basketball now?
Every now and again.
Really?
Yeah, I have a court in the back, and I shoot. I have my little shoot away, and it passes back to me, and I get my shots up.
What's your team?
I can't say a team. That's unfair
You
now.
have
I mean, the heartbreak. I was in Philadelphia early, and I saw Allen Iverson in his prime and what he was doing to the rest of the league, and he's my height. In real life, on paper, he might say 6 something.
Right,
when I see him in the club, I was like, so why can't I dunk? This is terrible. So I seen it in real time. So Philly back then, that was for me. And I'll never forget the Valentine's battle when Kobe came back.
Ooh.
I was there.
So you hold that dear to you.
Yeah.
You know what I love about AI right now, man, is it feel like people are really talking him up again.
Because you have to respect what he did when he did it.
Yeah,
it's
man.
nuts.
And how he did it.
Yeah.
And he did it his way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It
like,
changed
yeah.
the game, the culture of the game.
Yeah,
all
man.
The things.
And he was one of the early dudes that brought hip hop
exactly
to the NBA.
So it was a respect level on and off the floor for me.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel about Bronny and LeBron playing together?
Love
Are
it.
you tuned in like that?
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Look at a father's love. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's insane. I don't know if it ever happens again.
Right.
It's
never seen it before.
It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Do you ever make it out to any Laker
respect.
games?
I do.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
I gotta pop out to one of these father and sons now.
I'm absolutely gonna make sure I need to be there for the first
Okay, cool.
game.
I'll go with you then.
But outside of that, I went to the Aces season opener and watching Asia Wilson and what she's doing like in real time was insane.
Man,
so it's just bull.
You got to come out to one of my son's games then.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son get down, man.
Word.
My son. Yeah, come on now. My son get down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be his year.
Yeah.
It's going to be his year, man.
Okay.
Jaden Alexander, look out for him. Yeah, I don't want to put too much out there. I don't put his last name out there.
No, you done.
Yeah,
You
you
done.
know what I'm saying?
You got some highlights out there, though, Doug.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But the old
got
head in
highlights.
me feels like I can challenge anyone. Like I'm that old head now. Like, what you got, son? What you
Oh,
got?
yeah.
Give
I
me-
would
give me-
I would love to see y'all play
Let me
against
see
each
what
other.
you-
Because
yeah,
I'm going
beat
to tell
me.
you straight up, you'll definitely beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Without
yeah,
a
yeah,
doubt?
yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even that fake ass how you like let someone win. You know, because you know,
No.
as a kid, I used to let my son win. Then all of a sudden, I stopped letting him, and he just started whooping on me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you'll
no.
definitely get me out the gate,
Okay, cool.
especially if you felt like you were going to be that one.
Yeah, it's every baller has that in them though. They
Mm-hmm.
still feel like they're going to the league. I'm not.
Right.
I'm absolutely not. In my mind and my spirit, I'm going.
Do
but
you
yeah.
do you ever play any of the BET like celebrity basketball games or anything like that?
Okay, so let me tell you about my BET week. I was supposed to, but I was in album mode. So I had the album release thing.
Oh, so you're
the
talking about
same
2024 just
night.
now?
Now
Oh,
I was
yeah.
supposed to play in the dang game and I couldn't get there because I had to do my album release listening and experience the same night. So it was a wild month by the time I got to the BET Awards.
And then you also like, what was practice like when it came to the tribute for Usher as well? Because you got to balance all that off, right?
I wanted to cry. By the time I got there, I was emotionally exhausted. So we go through that. I get the opportunity to do it. It's presented to me as an all-female tribute to Usher, which I thought was pretty dope since he, you know, consensually got at every female on his, you know, Vegas residency.
Yeah, tell me about
me
it.
included.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, pay my respects to Usher. Of course I would. So, you know, live shows, BET, it sounded like soon as I started singing, you know, when you're at a stadium, you're watching from the back row and the sound travels.
Oh no!
So I'm hearing myself in the back. I was like, Marsha, don't throw this mic on live TV at the sound man. Where's the sound man? Just keep singing. I was like, oh, they're just gonna probably mute it out because I couldn't hear me until I said, "We love you, Usher." I was like,
no. Let me tell you, we were there and I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
because you're watching it in real time, so the sound that you're hearing is in the audience.
Did it come across different on TV?
Apparently so. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm good. But
I didn't
when
watch the
things are
television
me
feed or
neither until
anything.
late. So I was like, oh, so how I heard it is how the live feed is going out. So I was like, oh, you know what? Not my finest moment, but keep it moving. The
I
fact
did
that I
not
stayed in
catch
key and that I'm still it's like being it's like a vocalist's nightmare. If you're a millisecond behind yourself in the booth, like when you go and you can hear a delay. So it's like I can hear it 0.9 behind. I was like, Marsh, just yeah, all right. But I had fun.
Oh no!
I had a
I'm
lovely
telling you
old
because
time.
when we were there, we were like, oh, she
Yeah.
killed it,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't check it out.
Well,
Oh, I can.
yeah, no.
I can imagine what the
No,
social
it's
media
a
or something.
vocalist nightmare. So, but I had an absolute wonderful time,
Right.
and I'm supposed to thank Usher at
Right.
this time.
Yeah, but the one thing you are talented. You know what I'm saying? So I think if there was any glitch, it ain't you.
Like, well, I tried.
Yeah. Damn, I did not know that.
Same.
No, it was rough. It wasn't my finest moment.
Oh, damn. And especially as an artist that really gives a damn.
Oh yeah, because I mean, a lot of these shows these days they're like pre-recorded, and something in my mind said, well, if some things are going to be pre-recorded, just pre-record everything. So when someone's live, it sounds like I called into the radio station, was like I'm trying to win tickets to go and see Usher. Like, is this it? Did I win? Did I go to Disney? Am I calling number 9? That's what it sounded like.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah.
Oh,
But yeah.
it'll be greater later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm glad we got
I
a
was
chance to
going to
explain it, though, because I
Disney.
didn't even catch it. But at least for those that did catch it, at least we got a chance to get
That's what
get to it.
happened. I was like, yeah, okay.
Now, are you going to start? Now, you seem like you're always performing. Is there a specific tour for Casablanco?
It has to be specific
Right.
because it's like you said, with the one night stand, it's going to be a one night stand in whatever city we go to on Casablanco nights. And I feel like it gives.
Do we have to dress up?
I'm not saying it's mandatory,
Okay.
but when you press play on that album,
Right.
you do want a smoker's jacket. You do want, something silky. So I don't.
Oh, shit.
It's tucks and chucks.
Yeah,
You know,
I
so
listened
if
to it. I listened to it wrong then. I gotta go give me a
Because
silk
it's
jacket
giving
too.
you, it's
Yeah.
giving hip hop, but it's giving luxury.
Yeah,
You know, so I feel like if you want to dress up, you can, but it's not mandatory.
Okay.
Come as you are, please. But I'm possibly going to be draped down in diamonds and pearls and a ball gown and some sneakers and
Diamonds and
door knocker
pearls.
earrings and everything hip hop and luxury that you could think of.
Do you
But
know about when you're thinking about going out?
towards the end of the year?
Gotcha.
For sure.
What will you do until then? Are you doing a lot of?
There's a bunch of spot dates that
Yeah.
were already booked prior to. So I'll be in Philadelphia at the end of the month. I'm doing the Blue Note Jazz Fest with Robert Glasper in Napa Valley end of August. So yeah, a couple
You
of
enjoy
things.
you enjoy it. Huh?
I do.
That's beautiful.
I really do. It's a blessing to still be able to like do it and love it, and the feeling that you get from the audience, like really tuned into songs that they've lived with you through this time, and just
You still excited by that too?
yeah,
Yeah, man.
What?
Do you feel like you
There
haven't
are
met
babies
everybody?
made
I was
off
gonna
of,
say that.
like, you know, so it's nice to meet them now.
Right,
With their parents. Like, hey, this is my mom. She told me all about your music. Apparently,
We
I'm
had
here
her
because,
listening.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, exactly. So this is little Marsha, Marshina, and Marsha Ambrosius, whatever names they gave these babies. It's beautiful.
Do you get a lot of people that come up, or specifically, are there things that you hear when it comes to music, like, oh, this got me through this,
Oh.
or yeah?
Yeah, there are tattoos of like my
wow.
song titles. Like "Far Away" is the top one for me, and just saying how many times that song has saved someone's life.
Wow.
And it's that's when I acknowledge, not really when I acknowledge the responsibility in music, but I've always felt that there is a responsibility through music, because I know how the music that I love has affected me. And I'm just glad that in some way I've been a blessing to someone else that can press play and have that moment through music and say, okay, not today, Satan, you won't get me because of this song. And Far Away for some people is what Casablanco now was for me. That album saved me during a time where I didn't think I was going to make it through at all. The COVID year was a tough year. And then coming out of that, and Dre having a health scare, I feel like we met during a time where it was like, oh, you lost your life? Oh, I was lost my life too. And it was like, okay, let's just make something that we love. And here's Casablanco. And it's this thing that we can now strive for, reach for, clear it. And I feel like the release date getting to it was like, am I even going to get there to that release date? Do I even make it that far? And I did.
Right.
And it's been weeks after it. And it feels like this new phase, this new space for me that I didn't even see myself getting to. So it's a celebration. Like even with the last song on the album, Music on My Mind, and now that I've told you that basketball is my primary,
Gotcha.
the last thing I say is Mamba mentality, game-winning shot for the three, Kobe, swish, it's good. That's the last thing I said on that
Did
album.
you know that was going to be? Did it feel organic? Like this is how we end?
No.
Wow.
Because even when we were recording it, I just felt like this is something I wanted to say.
That's like the walk off. That's like the movie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So when we playlisted, it was like, oh, it makes sense that Smoke opens the album and Music on My Mind finishes it. But it was never made intentionally for it to do those things. We were just making music. And by the time I'd given that last speech about the music of my mind, which is Wu-Tang and that Coltrane. Remember when we used to hang outside in Purple Rain screaming money ain't a thing? Right there, I just named Prince,
Yes.
Jay-Z, and Jermaine Dupri, Wu-Tang and John Coltrane in like one verse. It just kept going.
You can
So
tell
it's-
that you are a child of music.
Oh, yeah, all of
And
it.
and I mean like everything though, especially if you listen.
Yeah.
And you also have if you have like a vast like taste in music, you can hear that you have a little bit of everything that you turn to. You know, and I think that's what makes great music.
I even
as a
said,
creator.
what was it? The Blue Chick in The Fifth Element. Remember the movie The Fifth Element?
Yes.
And that alien lady comes out. And I was like,
You sound better than her.
but, well,
Yeah.
but when I saw it, I was like, that's me. I'm an alien. I do different things with my vocal that are just not normal.
And you know that.
And Dre knows that though, and knew that at that time. He was like, Marsh, be the violin that you want to be the horns that you want to be. I sang most of the horns like parts, and then he had a team of horn players come in, and then I kind of like arranged all of those things. Shout outs to Chris, and Jay. And he just let me be an instrument. And not a lot of times that I've been in the studio with working with other people have allotted that time. It's usually just, oh, write the hook, write the verse, and just do it with structure. With Dre, it was whatever.
I just wonder, like,
Do whatever you
sometimes,
want.
even with listening to it, I'm like, what's in her head?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even on wet, when you spell out how you do the Method Man part.
I didn't
I'm
even
like,
know
what's in
that
her-
was coming.
Yeah.
I was literally freestyling that from there I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. And I was like, where did this go? Where does the story go? Ooh, call you up on the phone when I need to give you some. You got me looking out the window and I see the storm. Stormy weather. Make me want to go together with you. Stay with you under the worst conditions. Lay with you in multiple positions. Anticipate precipitation. Now, can you handle it? And it just kept... It's like my mind was writing it as I'm saying it, so I didn't need to write it down. So by the time the beat drops, I'm like, "Oh, you got that." What does he have? What does he have that I'm so precipitated over, so wet over? You got that method, man. You got that METHOD, man. Do that thing. You do those hands. Kiss on this and make it dance. Like, oh.
And now y'all see why I was listening to the album.
Yeah,
next
should we
year,
turn
right?
down the lights? Or what's
Yeah.
going on here?
It got moody in here.
Yeah, it did.
I'm like, it's always too early for me, but it's never too early.
Thank you for coming into the neighborhood and hanging out with us as well,
Thank you
love.
for having
And I
me.
can't wait to see you live. I can't wait to see you live.
It's an experience.
And another great body of music, Marsha.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm-
for
I'm
coming into
so-
the neighborhood.
It feels crazy that people have it to hear. You don't understand, like, just how much I've celebrated. Just the fact that you can listen to it now, and I'm glad that everyone is loving it. I
And y'all
truly
didn't use
appreciate
at
it.
any point, you didn't use a Matter Daddy on none of the songs, huh?
No.
No Matter Daddy at all? No. Damn, I thought for sure you would have used the Matter Daddy. That's the one thing I felt like it was missing. Was a Matter Daddy. Nothing. I'm okay. What's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? What's the matter, Daddy? Got it. All right. Marsha Ambrosius in the neighborhood. Big Boy's neighborhood.